You are about to hear the kind of story that makes your heart stop for a moment because it shows how fast life can lift you to the sky and then crush you in a single night. This is the real journey of a young trader who turned $500 into $50,000 and then watched everything disappear in front of his eyes. You will not believe how fast life can flip, and that is exactly what happened to Arjun, a 27-year-old trader from a small town who always felt that life was running ahead while he was left behind. Every morning he woke up with the same heavy feeling in his chest, a feeling that he was stuck in one place while the rest of the world was moving forward with confidence and opportunity. His small room, his simple routine, and his limited bank balance all reminded him of one thing. He did not have a life he wanted. He had only $500 in his account, and even that amount felt like a fragile thread that could break at any moment. Whenever he looked at his balance, he felt a mixture of fear and disappointment because he knew one mistake could leave him with nothing. Arjun came from a hardworking family, but money had always been tight in their home. His parents worked long hours and did everything they could to keep the house running, but financial stress followed them like a shadow. Arjun wanted to help them, yet he felt powerless. Jobs in his town paid very little, and every month was a struggle to meet basic needs. Sometimes at night, he lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if life would ever give him a real chance. He was not lazy. He was not afraid of hard work. He simply needed a door to open. Just one door. One night, while scrolling through YouTube, he found a video about a trader who started with a small amount and slowly built a better life. Arjun watched the entire video with full attention. Something in that story touched him deeply. It was not the money that attracted him. It was the idea that a person with almost nothing could use knowledge, discipline, and patience to create something meaningful. That idea lit a spark inside his heart. From that moment, a small voice inside him whispered that maybe, just maybe, he could change his life too. He began watching more videos, reading articles, and trying to understand the world of trading. He did not tell anyone because he feared they would laugh or call it a waste of time. But he kept learning in silence, absorbing every lesson he could find. Days passed, and the spark inside him grew stronger until it felt like a fire pushing him forward. One night, after hours of thinking, he reached a decision that would change his life forever. He opened a trading account. His hand shook slightly as he typed the details because he knew this was not a game. This was the last $500 he had saved with so much effort. Money he could not afford to lose. Before clicking the deposit button, he closed his eyes and took a long, deep breath. He reminded himself that he was not entering the market to gamble. He was entering with commitment and seriousness. He promised himself that if he failed, he would fail with discipline, not foolishness. When he finally added the $500 to his account, it felt like he had crossed an invisible line in his life. He did not feel excitement. He felt responsibility. He felt fear. But he also felt hope, a kind of hope he had not felt in years. He believed that if he worked hard, stayed patient, and controlled his emotions, he could build something slowly and steadily. He did not dream of becoming a millionaire. He simply wanted the freedom to breathe without worrying about the next bill, the next emergency, or the next disappointment. He wanted to give his parents a better life. He wanted to prove to himself that he was capable of something more than struggle. Little did Arjun know that this simple decision to invest his last $500 would take him to the highest peak he had ever imagined. It would get him a taste of success that felt unreal. It would make him believe that life was finally turning in his favor. But what he did not know was that the same journey would also carry him to the deepest fall he had ever faced. A fall so sudden and so painful that it would shake the very foundation of his confidence. Life was about to test him in ways he had never experienced before. He had taken the first step with hope and courage. But the path ahead was filled with twists he could not see. His fortune, his emotions, his dreams, everything was about to rise higher than he ever expected and then crash harder than he ever thought possible. And all of it began with that single decision that night when he chose to believe in himself, even though the world had given him every reason not to. Arjun started very slowly because he knew he could not afford to make careless mistakes. Every morning he woke up early, opened his old laptop, and studied charts with full focus. He watched how prices moved, how candles formed, and how emotions control the market. At first, everything looked confusing, but he refused to give up. He believed that patience would become his strongest weapon. While the world around him was busy chasing quick money, Arjun chose the long, steady path that most people avoided. Every night before sleeping, he watched educational videos, read trading blogs, and filled pages of his notebook with simple notes. He practiced again and again until he understood how even a tiny move in the market could change everything. His early trades were very small. Sometimes he made just $1 or $2, but every small profit felt like a victory. It was proof that his hard work was moving him in the right direction. Whenever he won, he wrote down the reason. Whenever he lost, he wrote down the mistake. Slowly, a pattern developed. He began recognizing signals and understanding market behavior. His confidence grew, but not in an arrogant way. It grew in a calm, steady way, like a tree taking root in strong soil. After 3 months of consistent effort, his $500 turned into $3,000. His friends laughed when they heard about his success. They said it was just beginner luck and that it would disappear quickly. Arjun heard their jokes, but he did not react. He kept his focus on his charts and continued working with discipline. Deep inside, he knew luck was not the reason for his growth. It was knowledge, patience, and the hours he dedicated every single day. The crypto market was rising fast, and opportunities were appearing everywhere. Arjun watched the market closely and waited for the right moment. One day, he noticed a coin that most traders ignored. The coin did not trend on social media, and no one was talking about it. But Arjun saw something different. The price was stable, the volume was growing slowly, and the chart showed signs of strength. He believed the coin was undervalued. After thinking for many hours, he decided to take a bold step. He put all his $3,000 into that single coin. It was a risky move, but he trusted his analysis more than his fear. The next morning, he checked his screen and saw the coin rising. His heart beat faster. By afternoon, the coin reached $6,000. He stared at the screen, unable to believe what he was seeing. The next day, it hit $12,000. Arjun felt a powerful mix of excitement, fear, and pride. He had never seen such numbers next to his name. It felt unreal, like a dream, turning into reality while he watched with trembling hands. Days passed, and the coin kept growing. His portfolio touched $30,000. Arjun refreshed the screen again and again because he thought maybe it was a glitch. But the numbers were real. He walked around his room, unable to sit still because the joy inside him was too big to contain. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was breaking free from the invisible cage that money had built around him since childhood. Then something even more powerful happened. A strong bull run began in the crypto market. Prices exploded everywhere. Coins jumped like rockets. Traders celebrated victories, and social media flooded with success stories. Arjun watched the market with wide eyes as his $30,000 climbed to $40,000, then $45,000, and finally $50,000. The number looked so huge that he felt his heart melt with emotion. A small-town boy who once felt afraid to check his bank balance was now staring at $50,000 inside his trading account. For a moment, he closed his eyes and took a deep, long breath. He remembered the nights he spent studying while others slept. He remembered the pain of having only $500. He remembered the fear, the stress, and the doubt that haunted him. And now here, he was holding an amount he once thought he would never see in his entire life. It felt like he had climbed a mountain that no one believed he could climb. Every wall life had placed in front of him suddenly felt small, weak, and breakable. Arjun felt proud, not because of the money, but because he proved to himself that he was capable of growth, strength, and discipline. His journey from $500 to $50,000 was not just about trading. It was about believing in himself when no one else did. It was about rising from struggle with courage and patience. And at that moment, standing at the peak of success, he felt like life finally rewarded him for refusing to give up. With $50,000 in his trading account, Arjun felt like he was standing at the edge of a new world. A world he had only imagined in his dreams. He started thinking about giving his parents a new house because they had spent their entire lives working without rest. He imagined the smile on his mother's face and the relief in his father's eyes. He imagined buying the bike he had admired since childhood. For the first time in his life, everything felt possible. The fear of poverty that always followed him like a shadow now felt distant and powerless. But even while success surrounded him, something darker began rising quietly inside his mind. Fear started whispering to him in moments of silence. He knew the market never moves in a straight line. He knew traders who had lost everything after becoming too confident. Arjun had studied these stories before, but now that he had money of his own, the risk fell much heavier. One wrong step could destroy everything he had worked for and leave him with nothing again. Yet even with this fear, a new desire began to grow inside him. A desire for a bigger win. A desire to push his limits just one more time. Greed entered his heart slowly like a silent guest, and Arjun did not even notice. One evening while sitting in his room, he received a message from an online trading group. It talked about a new crypto project that was expected to explode soon. People in the group were calling it a golden opportunity. They said it was the kind of coin that could turn a small fortune into a massive one overnight. Arjun felt his curiosity rise. His mind started imagining what could happen if he put a big amount into that coin. He knew deep inside that tips from strangers were dangerous, yet he convinced himself that this one sounded different. Arjun, who once used to analyze charts for hours, ignored the warnings he would normally follow. He did not study the chart. He did not check the project details. He did not wait for confirmation. He simply opened his trading app and invested $45,000 into that single coin. It happened so fast that even he was surprised at his own decision. But after placing the trade, he felt excited. He told himself that if the coin doubled, he could secure his future forever. He believed this was the moment that would define his life. The next morning, he checked the price of the coin and saw it rising. His heart started beating faster. It went up 10%, then 20%. Arjun felt a rush of joy. He danced around his room with a feeling he had never experienced before. It felt like he had made the best decision of his life. He kept refreshing the screen again and again because he wanted to watch the numbers rise with his own eyes. In that moment, he felt unstoppable. He believed that destiny was finally on his side. But destiny had a different plan. Suddenly, the coin stopped rising. The chart began moving sideways. Arjun felt a slight discomfort, but he told himself it was normal. A few minutes later, something shocking happened. A massive red candle appeared on the chart. A giant investor had sold millions worth of that coin. The price started falling with unbelievable speed. Arjun stared at the screen, unable to move. His body went cold. His mind went blank. He watched $45,000 fall to $30,000, then $20,000. His breath became shallow. His hands trembled. He felt like the ground beneath him was disappearing. He kept telling himself it would bounce back any second, but the price kept dropping. It hit $10,000, then $4,000. Within minutes, the coin fell to almost zero. The screen turned bright red like a warning sign, screaming at him. Arjun felt a painful shock in his chest. It was not just money slipping away. It was his hope, his dreams, his future plans, all falling apart in front of his eyes. His $50,000 dream was gone. All that remained was a tiny amount that felt like a cruel reminder of his mistake. He sat frozen, staring at the screen, unable to accept what had just happened. His heart felt like it had stopped beating. Tears formed in his eyes, but he could not even cry. He was left with almost nothing. A silence heavier than any sound filled the room as Arjun realized that his biggest win had turned into the biggest fall of his life. That night, Arjun sat alone in his dark room, with only the dull light of his computer screen glowing in front of him. The room felt colder than usual, and the silence felt heavier than any noise he had ever heard. On the screen, the balance showed almost nothing, a painful reminder of how fast his life had flipped. Only hours before, he was holding $50,000 and dreaming of a brighter future. Now he was staring at an empty account that felt like a cruel joke. He had started with $500, climbed to $50,000, and then watched everything vanish in a single evening. It felt unreal. It felt unfair. It felt like the universe had played a trick on him. Arjun lowered his head and placed his hands on his face. The The weight of the loss pressed against his heart like a stone. He felt broken in a way he could not describe. His dreams of helping his parents and building a better life felt like they had been ripped away from his hands. He felt angry at himself for trusting a foolish tip, angry for ignoring the caution he always followed, angry for the greed that had blinded him. With every thought, the pain grew sharper and the sadness grew deeper. He kept replaying the moment he made the decision, the moment he saw the tip, the moment he invested everything. He remembered the excitement, the rush, the hope. Now all that remained was regret, heavy, painful regret that wrapped around his chest like a tight rope. He whispered to himself, asking why he had not used logic, why he had ignored the lessons he had once valued so much. But no answer came. Only the quiet, dark room listened. His parents noticed something was wrong. They asked him why he was so quiet. They asked him if he was feeling unwell. Arjun forced a small smile and said he was fine even though his heart felt shattered. His friends called him and asked him to come out and relax. They wanted to joke around and lighten the mood, but Arjun did not answer. He stared at the phone until the screen went dark. He did not have the strength to speak, not even a single word. For days, Arjun moved through life like a shadow. He ate little, spoke even less, and spent long hours lying on his bed staring at the ceiling. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the red numbers on the trading screen flashing like a nightmare he could not escape. He felt embarrassed and ashamed, not because he lost money, but because he lost control of himself. The weight of the loss rested on his chest like a mountain, and he felt too weak to push it away. But after some time, something unexpected began to happen. The darkness around him started to shift. He realized he was not angry at the market. The market did exactly what it always does. It rises and falls. It rewards discipline and punishes recklessness. The real mistake had been inside him. His greed, his impatience, his desire for quick success. And once that thought entered his mind, something inside him slowly woke up. One evening, he walked to his small study table where an old notebook lay untouched. It was the same notebook he had used when he first learned trading. The pages were filled with lesson strategies and simple notes from a time when he was humble and hungry for knowledge. He opened the notebook and flipped through the pages. Every line reminded him of who he used to be, a beginner who respected the market, a learner who valued patience, a student who knew that growth takes time. On a blank page at the back of the notebook, he picked up a pen and wrote 7 powerful words. Success teaches nothing. Failure teaches everything. He stared at the sentence for a long moment. It felt like those words came from a deeper place inside him, a place that understood pain, a place that understood life. That sentence became the turning point of his life. Something inside him began to rise, a quiet strength, a new determination. Arjun knew he could not change the past, but he could change the way he moved forward. He realized that failure was not the end of his journey. It was the beginning of a wiser one. And for the first time since his loss, he felt a small spark of hope glowing again in his heart. Arjun did not return to trading immediately. After losing almost everything, he felt as if life itself had paused. He woke up each morning with a strange heaviness in his chest, a feeling that he had broken something important inside himself. He stopped checking trading charts. He stopped watching financial videos. He felt that even looking at the market would reopen a wound that had barely begun to heal. So he stepped away from everything that once excited him. He took a long break, not because he wanted to, but because his mind desperately needed peace. He found a small part-time job at a local store where he worked quietly and kept to himself. The pay was simple. The work was simple. Yet it gave him something that trading had taken away from him. It gave him a sense of control. Each hour he worked added a little amount to his savings. For the first time in months, he felt steady again. He did not rush. He did not chase anything. He simply worked, saved, and breathed. In the evenings when he returned home, Arjun started reading his old trading notes again. He studied the mistakes that had destroyed his account. He wrote new lessons for his future self. He learned about risk management and why every professional protects their capital first and aims for profit second. He understood that a trader who risks everything loses everything. A trader who protects everything survives everything. He studied position sizing and understood why each trade must be planned with care. He learned to treat money not as numbers on a chart, but as the time he had invested, the work he had done, and the trust he had placed in himself. He began to see that discipline was more powerful than excitement. He realized that consistency was more powerful than fast wins. He understood that the market rewarded those who respected it and punished those who tried to outrun it. Slowly, his confidence returned. Not the loud confidence that had pushed him to risk $45,000 on one coin, but a quiet, calm confidence built on knowledge and humility. He understood why greed was dangerous. He understood that early success often becomes a trap that makes people believe they cannot fail. He understood that rushing toward wealth was the fastest way to destroy it. Months passed. Arjun saved a small amount of money again. Not 50,000, not 20,000, just a little. But this time he felt different. He did not see the money as something he needed to multiply quickly. He saw it as a tool to practice discipline, a tool to follow rules, a tool to build a future slowly and safely. When he finally returned to trading, he was a completely different person. He entered trades with clear plans. He placed stop losses. He sized positions carefully. He accepted small losses with a steady heart because he knew that protecting his capital was more valuable than chasing big wins. He no longer cared about doubling his account in a week. He cared about growing steadily month after month, year after year. He avoided hype. He avoided online tips. He avoided the emotional traps that once destroyed him. He traded with patience that came from pain and discipline that came from reflection. His new approach did not give him huge victories, but it gave him something far more powerful. It gave him consistency. As weeks turned into months, Arjun started earning steady gains. Not wild wins, but stable ones. He began helping new traders who reminded him of his younger self. He taught them the lessons he had learned through the hardest experiences of his life. He told them that success is not measured by how fast money grows, but by how safely it is protected. He shared his belief that emotional control is a trader's greatest weapon. He explained that the market does not punish people because it is cruel, but because they approach it with haste and arrogance. Today, Arjun trades with wisdom built from pain and maturity born from failure. He does not fear the market. He respects it. He knows that true strength comes from patience and calm decision-making. He knows that surviving is more important than winning. He knows that big wins mean nothing if they can disappear in one foolish moment. Arjun's story is not about turning $500 into $50,000. It is about making sure that $50,000 never becomes $500 again. His journey teaches one powerful truth. The market rewards those who move slowly with discipline and humility. Real success grows like a tree, not like a fire. Fast gains burn out. Steady growth lasts forever. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to learn how to finally win. If this story touched your heart, then hit the like button and make sure you subscribe for more real-life stories that inspire, teach, and keep you thinking long after the video ends. Your support helps us bring you more powerful journeys, so stay connected and stay strong.